author visit with Mya Thompson. I'm Miss Flavia. I'm a children's associate at New Hanover County Public Library. Joining me, Miss Megan, a teens library associate. She's going to assist me with Q&A. This is our first Read Across the County program, promoted by New Hanover County Public Library, New Hanover County Office of Diversity and Equity, and sponsored by the Friends of the New Hanover County Public Library. Read Across the County is a community read celebrating New Hanover County's families, diversity, and unique outdoor environment. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to Mya Thompson. She's an author, a biologist, and a bird nerd. She works at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, helping people learn more about birds. Before getting hooked on feathered animals, she studied elephant behavior in Central Africa. She's the author of the book Ruby's Birds and producer of the games Flap to the Future and Beast Box. Mya lives with her family in New York State. Welcome, Mya.
Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be here.
Great. We are very excited.
Well, we can get started with the reading, but in this reading, it's not just about listening. We also want you to be keeping your eyes out for all the birds you can find. So you'll find that as we read, we're going to pause and we're going to ask you to look around in the page of the book to help us find the birds. So here we go. Ruby's Birds. This book is a book I wrote and my friend Claudia Davila illustrated and drew all the birds and people that you see in the book. Claudia is from Canada and she lives in Toronto. And originally she grew up in Chile, which is in South America. So here we go. School's out. Mom and dad are at work. My brother Malik is at soccer practice. Grandma's at her spot near the window. Alex keeps her company. Things are too quiet around here. I know what to do. So here we go. Can you help us find the bird?
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
So I'm gonna give you a minute, but I think you probably already see. There's the bird. This is Alex, the sulfur-crested cockatoo, which is a type of parrot. So you can see Ruby has a bird right in her house. I play the piano. The piece my parents say is very grown up. I practice my dance routine, the one Malik calls stomping. I talk with Alex in the secret language Grandma taught us. Working on, working on. I sing at the top of my lungs, the song I made up myself. My neighbor Eva from downstairs hears everything. She calls up from her window, Ruby, want to go to the park? Yes, 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 I sing. And now let's look for the bird.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Okay, do you see it? I'm going to point to it. There's a bird with a red head right here. Do you see it? All of the birds that you find in this book with us are actually birds that you can find in your neighborhood. And this one's called a house finch. We pass my favorite bakery. We pass Cece's apartment. We walk right past my regular park, the one with the twisty slide and the sprinklers. I guess Eva's going to a different park. I skip to keep up. Okay, you know what to do.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Okay, well, in this page, there are multiple birds, not just one. And I bet you can already see this is a robin up here right above the slide, an American robin. Down here, we have a mourning dove picking up seeds from the ground. And there's even a pigeon over here. I crashed my copy of the book onto the floor. All right, I follow her all the way to Central Park. where my parents sometimes take us on Sundays when we're all dressed up.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Okay. Well, this one's fun. We have here a brown-headed cowbird, and some of you may know this one already. This is the fastest bird in the world. Do you know what it is already? I bet some of you do. The peregrine falcon. Eva's going to the woods. I've never been that way. We sing made-up songs about joggers and strollers and fancy dogs.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Okay, well, there's a lot of people here, a lot of trees. Let's find the birds. All right, the biggest one I see is right here. That is the black-crowned night heron. And it's near the water because it's probably looking for fish to eat. We also have a crow up here in the tree and a mallard duck in the water. Suddenly, Eva stops. She looks up. She is listening. Bee, buzz, buzz, buzz. Bee, buzz, buzz, buzz. I quiet down and I listen too. What's wrong, I wonder? I hear a police car, a plane, some barking.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Ruby's wondering what's going on, and in the meantime, we can see there are some cedar waxwings, 3 of them up in the tree over here. And we'll find out what Eva's listening to as well. I tug on Eva's sleeve, but she's not paying attention. She holds her binoculars up to her eyes. She's frozen like a statue. And then she smiles a huge smile.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Do you see it? This little bird is up in the tree. Do you see it? We're going to find out what it is later. I guess everything's okay, so I start singing again. Ruby, Eva sighs, you scared him away. Who did I scare away? I ask. Eva flops down on a bench. I sit too. It's a bird I've only ever seen back home in Costa Rica, she says. He's just stopping through on his way back north because this is the best patch of woods for miles around. He's quite a singer, just like you.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Well, hiding in the tree isn't the bird that Eva and Ruby are talking about, but another bird you see here with the beautiful yellow belly, and that's called a Baltimore Oriole. You also see its nest right next to it. All right, but let's find out who Ruby and Eva are talking about. If you stay quiet, we may be able to find him again. He's a golden-winged warbler. I nod. I don't say a word or sing a word either. It sounds like something from a fairy tale.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
Do you see it? This is what Ruby's imagining the golden-winged warbler looks like. We move carefully. We're serious. We pay attention. We watch for tiny movements in the leaves. We try and try. No luck today, says Eva, but now you know what to do. I sing myself to sleep as usual. And you see, what does Ruby dream about? She dreams about all sorts of beautiful birds. You can see all sorts of colors and shapes that she's dreaming up. And also you can see that some of these birds are singing. On Sunday morning, I begged for a walk to Central Park. Malik's not interested, but it's family time, so he has to come anyway. We pass the bodega, we pass the theater. I sing my song. My family listens along.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
All right, let's see if we can find the bird. I see this bird up here. It's called the European starling, and those birds are everywhere. And I bet if you look, you'll find some. At the park, I lead them straight to the woods. I'm silent. I'm serious. I'm paying attention. I hear a rustle in the leaves. Shh, I say. Just like Eva, I'm frozen like a statue. A tiny bird pops out of the leaves. It looks one way, then the other, then right at me. I can't help it. I get that huge smile, just like Eva's. Look, I yell. Ah, yes, says Grandma. I saw a warbler, I sing as he flies away.
¿Dónde está el pájaro?
All right, you can probably see here's the golden wing warbler in the leaves, and there it is as he flies away. So that's the end of the book, but if you look at this last illustration here, you can see what is Ruby doing? It looks like she went home to show Eva what she saw, and her mama and her grandma are there with her, and they're all celebrating that they found the warbler. And there's one more bird actually to find in this picture. Do you see it? There it is. This little brown bird is also one that I think you can probably find right where you are, wherever you live in New Hanover County. This bird is called the house sparrow. So thank you for reading with me. I'm going to pass it back to Flavia.
Oh, thank you so much, Maya. That was fantastic. I love birds myself. Great. So now we have some time to take question and a poll. So we're waiting for the question. I have one for you. What was your spark for your love of birds?
So I actually grew up in New York State, and when I was maybe 10 or 11, I was in the woods and I actually saw an owl staring at me. You guys know what owls look like. They have the big round heads and the big eyes, and the owl was staring at me. And I had one of those moments that I felt that the bird was looking at me and I was looking at the bird, and somehow that we were communicating. And that for me was the spark moment. That I didn't know at the time, but I think I remember it well enough that I think that was a barred owl.
Nice. Great. You got a lot of owls there in New York State?
Yes, we do.
Great. And how did you get the idea to write a children's book?
So I love children's books, even as an adult. Before I even had kids, I had a collection of children's books. And so when I started to work at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, I realized that I would really love to add to the world of birds and to the world of books by dreaming up Ruby, who's just a wonderful, wonderful young person who has beautiful spirit and also got excited about birds right in her city. And one of the reasons why I like to mention that birds are in the city is because it's true. Even though you may not think about it much, this book is about New York City. And in New York City, you can find more than 200 different kinds of birds in the city. And the number in New Hanover County is just about the same.
Wow, I didn't know that. Great. Great information. Awesome. Let's see if we got any questions here, please. Just write in the Q&A and we will read to Maya. Do you plan to write any more books?
So coming out in the fall, I do have a new book, and that is a graphic novel. Do any of you read graphic novels?
Yeah, yes, very popular here at New Hanover County Public Library. Always kids love a graphic novel. That's fantastic.
So the graphic novel, this one is about bird superpowers. And it's called Winged Heroes. And we're just about to print it, but this is what I printed out from my copy, from my printer. This is called Winged Heroes. So if you're interested in graphic novels and you're interested in birds, you can check it out.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be great. Awesome. I think we have a question. Megan?
Yes, we have one question. It is, what is your favorite part of your job?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So I work at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and I work with lots of scientists and people who know actually far more about birds than I do. And one of my favorite parts of my job is actually just learning new things. So when I started my job, my daughter was about 3 years old. And I would come home and I would tell my whole family new things about what I was learning. And I remember after maybe a year later, she said, "Mama, your job sounds like an adult learning experience." So for me, that's one of my favorite things. Another of my favorite things is I get to do fun things like build video games. So one of the things that I do with my friends and colleagues at work is actually work with artists and with coders to make things like a game called Flap to the Future. And one of the things I love about working on video games is it combines the science and the art and the coding all in one.
That's great. And you have another one at Beast Box. Can you talk about a little bit about that game as well?
Yeah. Beast Box is all about the idea that all the different animals that make all the different sounds can actually be quite musical. So actually Beast Box is something that we teamed up with Ben Mirren, who's actually somebody who uses his voice. He's a beatboxer, and he uses his voice to make music. And he also combines his voice with animals from all over the world to make music. And so with Beastbox, what you get to do is you get to bring animals onto the stage in the game and listen to how they combine their voices to make music. And you can get extra points, and you can unlock different levels by actually putting animals together from the same habitat and listen to their song, because animals from the same habitat have been evolving together so that they're the sort of music that they make that you can hear when you're in a place is quite special.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's very exciting and very educational. Love it. So let's see, Megan, we got any more questions?
I have a question for those of you listening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite bird, or have you seen or heard a bird near you this spring?
Let's wait for...
One of the things that I'm listening for you too, one of the things that I was most excited about this spring is that we have two small raptors. So not too different from the peregrine falcon, but they're called merlins. We have two of them living in our neighborhood. And that is just such a special thing because I see and hear them every day. Oh, I think I see that James's favorite bird is a crow. I love crows too. And we can see that Ruby, that's one of these animals that's in Ruby's birds as well. And I'm not sure why you like crows, but one of the reasons I like crows is that they are so smart. We have somebody that I work with at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology who is studying crows and has been studying crows for almost all his life. And actually, some of the crows that he studies recognize him, and they recognize his car. And when they see his car driving down the road, they actually come up close to the car and are very excited because Kevin will give them peanuts.
Oh, that's great. I see James here, he likes osprey. Osprey, yeah. And Gabby, she loves to see cardinals. We got a lot of cardinals here in Wilmington. Um,
Cardinals are so beautiful. It's hard for, I love all birds. So osprey are totally amazing. They eat fish. They sit in these large nests. They look like big stick piles. And one of the things I love about cardinals is they make sounds. You may have heard them. You probably have heard them. They sound a little bit like laser guns. They go pew, 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 pew. And so some people, when they first tune into a cardinal song, they find it kind of annoying, like maybe it's a car alarm or something like that. But they actually are so amazing. The sounds that they make are so amazing because each one of those pew sounds, that actually spans more different notes than are on a whole piano keyboard. So
oh, wow.
they're doing that in less than a second. You know, they're doing that 10, more than 10 times a second.
Oh, great. I have here, I've seen like in the chat, James said, what age did you start writing? And he likes brown pelican.
Oh, a brown pelican. What's
Mhm.
wonderful. For those of you who may not know what a brown pelican is, you probably can imagine what a pelican is, but they can actually fit tons and tons of fish into their pouch that is sort of underneath their beak, and they live in the ocean areas. And the question was, at what age did I start writing?
Yeah.
Well, all of us start writing in school at some point. But in terms of when I started writing, in this way, so like for Ruby's Birds, it was only really a few years ago. It was maybe 5 years ago where I thought, well, maybe I could write a book. But before that, I considered myself a scientist. And I didn't, and if you had asked me, are you a writer? I would have said no. So one of the things I love about this journey that I've had with Ruby's Birds is that it allowed me to think about myself in a different way, because now I do think, oh, maybe I am a writer.
Yeah, and he always says, James said, crows will bring you shiny things in exchange for food if you do it a few times. They can also problem solve, putting rocks in bottles of water with food to rise the water level so they can reach the food.
You are so right that crows can solve all sorts of problems that other birds and other animals can't. I mean, they are very, very smart. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, great. I mean, my favorite is a blue jay. I love a blue jay. Oh, I love a blue jay.
Too. One of my favorite things about blue jays, so you can probably picture a blue jay because guess what? They're blue, but they also have a nice brown. And one of the cool things about blue jays is that they actually live in family groups. And the young blue jays actually help out their parents the next year with the baby blue jays, with their siblings. And so it's a kind of amazing thing. Not all birds do that, but jays and actually crows, they help out, they stay together as a family, and they help each other out.
Yeah, that's great. Tom, he likes hummingbirds. He loves hummingbirds.
Yes, me too. And you know what? One of the most exciting things about hummingbirds, you may already know, is that they're beating their wings very, very fast, but they're one of the only birds that can actually fly backwards.
Oh, really? That is great.
Because they're going to a flower and they're dipping their tongue in and they're taking out the nectar, and then they can back up.
Awesome. Miss Megan, do we have more questions?
Yes, we do. Someone asked, would you please name each of these birds for us?
Sure. So what we're seeing on the screen, first, right behind Ruby is the golden winged warbler. Then we have the house sparrow. The house sparrow has a gray belly and brown wings and a black mask on its face. And those are all just feather colors. So as you know, as you can see, birds have all different colors. And actually, one of the weirdest things about birds is even though they're always covered in feathers, they actually switch out their feathers and grow new ones every year, but you can't really tell because they're doing it little by little. So then we have a cedar waxwing. And the reason why cedar waxwings are called cedar waxwings, you probably can't see it right here, but they have little waxy tips at the ends of their wings. And the way they get those waxy tips is by eating red berries. And then they use that pigment, that color from the red berries, and they put them into those little tips. Then we have the American robin right here, and you may see robins on lawns in the park or in your schoolyard in the spring. Then we have the European starling, and it just looks like maybe in this picture, just like a normal, boring old black bird. But when you see a starling up close, it has some colors. It has some colors kind of like what you see if you see some gasoline spilled on the ground. It's called iridescence, and it's almost like a rainbowy color as the sun shines on it. So then we have the house finch right here with a beautiful red chest and head. And then we have the pigeon. Have you all seen pigeons? Pigeons are very common, and they're also, one of the coolest things about pigeons is that they can navigate. They can navigate if you take them away. These are called homing pigeons. Some people keep them, and if you take them away from their home, they can get back there without training. So they have some kind of map, like they have their own smartphone in their brain about how to get home. It's very cool. Then we have, this is called a mourning dove, and mourning doves are actually related. Well, all birds are related to each other, but mourning doves are also related to pigeons. And you may have heard a mourning dove. Have you ever heard the sound? Ooh, 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 ooh. And lots of people think those are owls, but those are actually mourning doves. Then we have the Baltimore oriole here, beautiful, beautiful orange. And sometimes if you put out actually orange slices in the spring, the orioles really love that sweet juice in oranges. So sometimes you can attract them that way. Peregrine falcon, fastest bird in the world.
Oh.
And they actually eat pigeons. They'll eat different birds, but they will eat pigeons. Crow, we talked about the crow. Here's the crow. And then here's a mallard duck. And one of the things that you can notice on this mallard duck is there's a beautiful blue wing patch that you don't always see until the wings are outstretched. And that's a shiny wing patch that's iridescent like the starling. So very showy. And then here's the heron. There's a heron.
Beautiful.
And fish. And then there's the brown-headed cowbird. So that covers all the birds on that page.
Awesome. Ellen said, we see lots of bluebirds on our walk every day. And I know. And she says we see mourning doves below our bird feeders too. And we have a question here from Tom. What's your favorite animal?
Oh, it's so hard to choose. What's your favorite animal? Okay, I'll have to think. Well, I do love elephants. Elephants are one of my favorite animals. And in terms of birds, it's so hard for me to choose. There's so many beautiful and interesting birds. But right now, I think my favorite are the merlins that are nesting in our neighborhood.
Oh, and Tom also asked, what would you consider the most interesting animal fact?
Oh, it's so hard for me to choose. Okay, let me think. Well, did you know, because elephants are some of my favorite, did you know that elephants can hear notes and pitches that we can't even hear? They're so low in frequency, like very deep sounds, that our ears can't hear, but elephant ears can hear. And that's how they communicate with each other. And because low sounds, like you know how sometimes you can hear a car very far away, a low rumbling sound, or thunder very far away? Well, elephants are communicating with these very low pitched sounds that travel very far, so they can communicate with each other over miles. And that, for me, the fact that some animals are communicating with each other with sounds that we can't even hear is so cool.
Awesome. Ellen likes kitties. Yeah,
Oh,
kitties. Yeah, that's cute. Miss Megan, do we have some more questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
What should you do if you find a baby bird that has fallen out of its nest?
Thank you
Aw.
so much for asking that question. And that's a very common question, and sometimes it happens. And one of the things you can do is try to put it back in the nest, but make sure to leave it alone, and see if the parent, if the parents come back, and then maybe it can be fine. If not, you need to call a wildlife rehabilitation center. So there are people all over the country that know just what to do when there's a baby bird in trouble, and they're called wildlife rehabilitation people or professionals. And they really recommend that you don't try to feed the bird yourself or bring it into your home unless it's just in the few hours before they can come. Because there's so many things to learn about how to raise a baby bird that they know, and that will help that baby bird have a much better chance of surviving if you call them.
That's great. Another question, Miss Megan?
Which bird lays the most eggs?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question. It is true that some birds lay more eggs and some birds lay fewer eggs. So, for example, I think an ostrich just lays, maybe just one at a time. I'm not actually sure. They may lay more. But for example, the emperor penguin, they actually just are taking care of one egg at a time because it's so cold, and they actually tuck the egg under the fat of their bellies. They balance it on the tops of their feet and put a fold of fat over to protect that egg, so they can only do one at a time. But I don't know how many. You can look it up, and maybe you can share with me the answer. I don't know how many is the most.
That's a great one. I got a question here on our chat. I think Tom is saying that stuff he loves, I would say a dog, though, she loves dogs. Do birds tend to raise their children together?
You know what? It just depends on the bird. Some birds, the parents, they actually both feed the chicks, and they work together, and they actually take turns at the nest so that one can go off and eat some food and come back. So some birds are definitely like that, and some birds it's just the one parent, and sometimes it's the female parent, and sometimes there are a few birds where the male parent actually raises the babies, but mostly if one parent is going to raise it, it would be the female. So it actually, just like the way nature is, there are many different ways that that different types of animals have figured out how to survive and how to organize their family lives to make it all work. So that's a great question.
Yeah, very interesting. Miss Megan and Q&A. Let's see here. I'm checking the chat.
I don't see anything else in the Q&A.
All right, I got a question. What resource could you recommend for families to get involved in birding and nature appreciation?
That's a great question. Well, if you check Ruby's Birds Out of the library, you'll see that at the end, Ruby actually has some recommendations for families about how you can take a nature walk. And one of my favorite things you can do on a nature walk is just decide that as you go out, to try to collect all different colors of the rainbow on your walk. So that's one thing you can do. But if you want to learn more about birds, and if you want to really explore, as you go out and listen and look at birds, one of my favorite things you can do if you have a smartphone is to download the free app called Merlin. And Merlin will ask you 3 questions, and then it will, based on those 3 questions, it will show you a list of birds that that are the most likely ones that you saw. And it's really helpful for me as I learn different kinds of birds. So first, you actually are asked, where are you, and where are you in the world, and what day is it? And that really helps narrow down, of all the 10,000 species in the world, which ones you might be seeing right then and there. Then it asks you what color, and you can just tap on the screen which colors, up to 3 different colors that you see on the bird. And it asks you also what size is the bird, but you don't have to know inches or anything like that. It just asks you, is it the size of like maybe like as big as a goose, or as small as a sparrow, and you get to choose. Um, and then it asks you, where in the habitat did you see the bird? Like one of you mentioned, you often see mourning doves on the ground. So it asks you, is it in the ground? Is it in the bush? Is it on water? Is it in a tree? And then it'll give you a list of birds and you can say, oh yeah, that's the one I saw. So Merlin is a great resource for families who are getting started.
Oh, great. Thank you. That is amazing. Awesome. And we also have some resources I'm going to share with you a little later on when we wrap it up. Miss Megan, do we have any more questions?
No.
No? All right. Do you have any questions for Mya? If it's Miss Megan, I can have it. Just could you tell us about the work that you do at Cornell Lab a little bit?
Of course, yeah. So at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, we do have scientists, and we have artists, and we have coders, and we have educators. So people who are like me, who are often thinking about, well, how can we share the exciting world of birds and nature with other people? So for me, I do things like develop online courses for people, for adults, to learn more about birds, but also games, online games that we mentioned for younger people tend to like maybe a little bit more learning through games. And so that's what's so exciting for me, is I get to work with all sorts of people just to figure out how to share about the exciting world of birds, because birds are they're everywhere in the world. And not only are they beautiful, but they're wild creatures that we can see. They're some of the only wild creatures that we see regularly that can sort of spark our interest in nature. So it's a really, really fun job, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And how was your experience with the elephant when you did go to Central Africa?
Yeah, so I was very lucky, and I was studying elephants with a project called the Elephant Listening Project. And the reason why we were studying elephants is just what I told you, is that they are communicating at these very, very low frequencies over long distances. And so what we wanted to do was, we had some fancy equipment that could record these low frequencies, and we wanted to understand how they were communicating with each other. So for example, we went to Central Africa, and there's a place there, one of the most amazing places in the world, called the Zangabai. And that is a forest clearing. And the elephants come there. It's like a big sort of public square for elephants. And they're coming there because in the water, in the stream that's coming through this forest clearing, are some minerals and salts that they crave. So just like you might want potato chips, right? They come and they drink the water because it has these salts and minerals in it. And so we were studying basically what their families were like, who they interacted with, and then all of that, we wanted to also know how they were using their communication, how they were talking with each other. And that was just a really wonderful thing. One of my favorite things about that job is that one of our jobs was to actually learn the different shapes of the ears and little rips on the ears and the way the body and tail was shaped. And so our job was actually to observe so closely that we could tell individuals apart. So just like you can see your friend from across the park and know that over there is Ruby, my friend Ruby. Well, we were learning how to do that with elephants, which is a little tricky, but it was really fun.
Oh, that's wonderful. Love it. Great. And I hope everybody had the time to answer we have a poll on the screen. Just takes just 2 questions. And if you want to ask anything for Maya, please, you can use the Q&A, and Ms. Megan is going to read the question. Ms. Megan, I think we have one more. Just get it over here.
So Miss Susan is asking us to share that at 4 o'clock we will have our zoo program. So.
Oh, yes, yes, that's great. Yes, part of our summer reading and read across the county program. I think we're gonna share. Miss Megan is gonna share the link for. And we also have like a great resource here. It's a skywatchbirdrescue.org. So if you guys want to, volunteer in birds, you can, we can just send you a link of that, skywatchbirdrescue.org. It's a nonprofit organization, rescue birds here in North Carolina. It's a great resource, and I can always show you. Let me just get you here. Let me change here and just getting in. All right, so our library has this fabulous nature kit. I'll show you guys over here, and then that you can check out. And inside you got like a backpack. It's a backpack, and then inside you have Birds of Carolinas, a guide. Comes with Trees of the Carolinas also, a very good, guide, and information of New Hanover County parks, all about all the parks from the New Hanover County. So you guys can check out that kit and go outside and explore and look for all the birds, because we have many, many birds here everywhere. They are very, yeah, my favorite is always being blue jay. Love a blue jay. And we have so many coming up. A lot of, yesterday was kickoff for summer reading program. We're gonna have more. Please tune in our website. Thank you so much, Maya, for joining us today. That was amazing. I learned so much about birds, and I will definitely get my binocular, check out this kit, and go outside and look and try to, listen the sounds, try to figure which one is. And that's fantastic. That was just amazing. I love your picture books. Fantastic. Can't wait for the graphic novel as well coming up. When is gonna come up? The graphic novel. Oh,
yes. Well, thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be here. I just love librarians so much. So I want to thank you all for helping us by having such amazing library programs and summer reading. Please read all summer, read all year, but it's particularly fun in the summer where you can choose, you don't even have to choose what the school wants you to read. You can choose what you want to read. So I hope you have a wonderful summer.
Yeah, thank you so much. Likewise, I hope you have a wonderful summer as well. I can almost wrap up, and let's see if we have some more questions.
Just have one. I have heard that elephants find humans cute. Is this true?
I didn't know that. Where did you hear that? I hope that's true.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. That is awesome.
Well, I certainly find elephants cute, especially elephant babies. You can't really get much cuter than that.
I know. They are cute. They are adorable. Do you know how much weight an elephant Can go
So
to.
some elephants, the elephants that live in the savannas outside the forests, like the ones you probably know about most, those are much heavier and bigger than the forest elephants. The forest elephants are quite a bit smaller, and I can't remember exactly the difference in weight. But baby elephants are hundreds of pounds when they're born.
Oh, and do you know how long do they live?
Yeah, it's amazing. Elephants can live 60, 70 years. And actually, one of the other cool things about elephants is, you know how a baby human is inside its mama for 9 months? Well, in elephants, it takes 22 months, almost 2 years,
Oh
for a
my
baby elephant to develop before it's born.
God. That's a long time. Oh my. Oh, on that, just question just came up to me. How about a bird? How long do they live? Is there just like different species that, live longer than, I know about parrots. Where I come from, Brazil, I had a parrot and, they live very long.
That's right. Parrots can live 67, I think, yeah, sort of almost as long as humans. And that's why if you take a parrot as a pet, it's a really important choice and commitment, because you're going to be taking care of that parrot for many years. But not all birds live that long. Some songbirds, they live for, well, it depends, once they're survived that all of that growing up, and they don't get eaten by something, then they can live for 5-6 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. I don't think, let's see, Ms. Mega, do we still have any more questions for Maya in the Q&A?
No.
No? All right, so it seems that we have at the chat, we have a link for everybody to check it, our website of all the events for our kickoff of summer reading program and Read Across the County. Please, everyone, tune in and come to the library. Don't forget to come to the library and get your summer reading package. We have it for you. We have very cool treats inside and incentive to more you read. Thank you so much, Mya Thompson, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you with us. It was fantastic. Thank you, kids, for all the great questions. Please don't forget to come to the library. We have so many great books about all birds, our nature kit, and just you have to get out, go outdoors, and just explore. That is fantastic. Okay, so I think thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys have a great, wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.